at 9:30. So for me, if I just trade between 9:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m., I just give myself those 2 hours. If I just trade those 2 hours, it turns out that my mental attitude gets better. It turns out that my performance feels like it's getting better. It turns out that my perspective of the market gets better. My confidence gets better. Whereas if I'm trying to trade from market open all the way to market close, Central Standard Time, if I try to do this, I get what they mean now by decision fatigue. I get what they mean now by trading is mentally draining and emotionally draining. I get it now. I totally get it. The the essence of trading is to find or create a strategy, and then you want to limit yourself to only a certain amount of time that you can trade throughout the day or throughout the week. And only then can you begin to grade yourself correctly. Because if you have a good strategy but you don't know when to trade, well then that's not going to be helpful. And if you don't have a strategy yet that's fully developed, but you know that you love to trade the open or the close or whatever, well then that's not really helpful either. You need both. So everything's changing for me because of this. I'm only trading from 9:30 to 11:30 and everything is changing because of that. So let's go over my strategy and see what would have happened today had you taken these trades. And we're going to start off with Apple. Why not? We're going to start with Apple. I only trade from 9:30 to 11:30, which is this box you're seeing here. And by the time we get close to this box, we haven't entered 9:30 yet. By the time we get close, we're looking for shorts. Short down here, here's the daily momentum, which that's telling you should probably be looking for shorts as well. But we stick with the 1 hour as the basis, then we wait for the 15-minute to show some sort of alignment, and we judge that group. There's a spectrum of alignment on the 15-minute MACD, and we use how pretty or ugly the momentum alignment is on the 15 with regards to the 1 hour to judge our trades. So the first setup that happened today was an ugly setup because the 15 is pulling away from us. And I was on a 2-minute chart today. You can do it on a 2-minute chart or a 3-minute chart. Depends who you are, depends how you're feeling. So this trade would have been a win. So that was a win. Enter this candle as a short position because we're taking shorts. That would have hit a 1-to-1. Going on to NVIDIA. NVIDIA's setup happened here at 9:52. And why was this a setup? Because the 15 was perfectly aligned with the 1 hour. And we had a realignment right here. Momentum not aligned, still not aligned. Are you watching? Not aligned. Now it's aligned. That's where the probabilities create an asymmetrical distribution, so you can take advantage of the universe. That's basically what all of this is. It's just the universe is creating all of this, really. On Palantir, we had an entry right here. This could have been a loss, could have been a win as well, and it happened to be a win. And this happened right at 9:30. Why was this an entry? Well, our 1 hour was pulling to the upside. Our 15 was very strong and unbroken to the upside. And look at our daily. Now, this wasn't an official entry because... Why? Why was this not an official entry? Well, it's because the 1 hour had not flipped yet. The 1 hour was still in bearish territory. So that's not what we want to do. That's not the trade we want to take. The trade we want to take is we want to take a trade when the 1 hour has crossed into bullish territory and now aligned with the 15. Even better yet, aligned with the daily. That's pretty nice. And this was the trade I took today, which was right here. The alignment happened here because, look, not aligned. None of this is aligned. Nope, not yet. Now, at 10:10. 10:08, rather. And this trade took a long time. I made this comment because I was really feeling the impatience kind of starting to build. But this trade took a long time. This was like an hour and a half. And it actually came up to the the target. If you're going to enter here, like I entered here because of the realignment, and use a 1-to-1 with the candle structure. Look at this. It came right up to the freaking point. It surpassed it rather by 1 penny. That's crazy. So that ended up being a win. And instead of doing the extreme limits of this 1-to-1 structure, I actually targeted less. So I took off like 5%, took off 5%. So it's still a 1-to-1 ratio. And yeah, we ended up getting the win on that one. So that was nice. Going over to Amazon. Amazon. You had a premature entry here at exactly 9:30, and yes, that would have been a win, but the more correct entry was here when you see this pullback. And then what are we waiting for? Well, our 1 hour's in the green, our 15 minutes in the green, our daily's in the green. That's an insane alignment going on. So we want to wait for this to now flip over to the correct direction. When does that happen? Do you see it? Can you see it with your eyes? 10 a.m. So that was the entry right there. I did happen to catch this trade as well. And I made this mark here for myself to reflect on a mistake I made. I actually missed my entry. I was late to the entry because I was distracted. I was not focused. I missed the entry. I meant to enter here. Right here. That's where I meant to enter. But instead, I entered here. That was a mistake. Either way, it was a win. It's a huge win, matter of fact. Going over to Tesla. Tesla, we had no trades today in Tesla. There was no alignments from here to here. There was just simply no alignments that occurred. Moving on to Meta. Meta, we had one trade I took and I lost. This was a loss. This was a realignment right here. 9:44 a.m. Why are we going up? Well, because the 1 hour's up. 15 is pulling up. Hasn't crossed over yet. Hasn't finished yet. That's a warning. That's a big warning. Maybe you shouldn't take that trade if the 15 hasn't crossed over yet. And then the daily. So that was the entry there. And it made it about halfway there. But that was a loss. And then in SPY, we had no trade. No trade in SPY today. No trade. But in TQQQ, NQ futures, we did have a setup. We had the first official setup was here. This realignment that occurs right here at 10:10 a.m. And then that would have been a win. Yes, it almost pulled back and was almost a loss. Almost a loss. And then the next entry would have been here. Again, just looking for realignments and momentum. And then using the candle structure to gauge your 1-to-1. And those were 2 wins. So all in all, it was a very positive day with regards to the outcomes of a strategy. And with that much being said, I will see you in the next one. Take care now.